Hi creatives, I am Dima and you're welcome to another interesting tutorial. This is all about the ruffle sleeve that you can see on the screen, and it will be the last one for this particular tutorial. I just want to conclude everything concerning this top before moving on to something else. And this one is all about the ruffle sleeve. Because the last one was so long, I could not add the ruffle sleeve tutorial to it. If this sounds like what you'll be interested in, then let's get right into the video. I started this tutorial with a basic sleeve. I'll put the link to a basic sleeve tutorial in the description box so that you can look at it just in case you do not know how to make a basic sleeve. So what I did here was to make two slash lines, and I had to slash it just as you saw me do in this video right now. Now the next thing to do is to place your fabric on fold like this, and then place the sleeve. The length of this basic sleeve is 12 inches, and the spread is about 2 inches for each spread. Okay, the length of the sleeve is 12 inches and the spread is about 2 inches for each spread. Okay, so after doing that, this is what I got. So here it is, the length is 12 inches. So I had to notch the middle part of the sleeve and marked the back part of the fabric. So after doing that, I'm going to place it again on fold like this and place the one that I cut already and use it to cut a second sleeve. Now I had to cut it out like this and then remove the remaining fabric and also notch the middle, as you can see me do right here. Now I've cut it on lining as well, and I will just go ahead and place it like this and stitch. You can see the joining on the lining. That is because the fabric was not enough. Now that I have stitched the hem of the sleeve, the next is to mark the placement of the ruffles. So what I did here was to measure about 4 inches from the tip of the sleeve, that's from the hem, and mark, okay, for 4 inches from there, because the length of the ruffle is going to be about 5 to 5.5 inches. So I'm marking 4 inches. Now the next is to mark 4 inches again from the 4 inches I've marked earlier. Okay, and you can see that what is remaining there is still 4 inches. You see why I did that, because the length of the ruffle will be about 5.5 inches for each ruffle. Okay, so marking 4 inches means it's going to pass that hem by about 1.5 inches. Okay, so this is the second one that I marked, which is also 4 inches from the first line that I marked, and this is what it looks like. I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the second sleeve, 4 inches from the hem of the sleeve and 4 inches again from this line that I am marking for the second ruffle. The third ruffle is going to be touching the cap of the sleeve, if that makes sense. Okay, so after doing this, I am going to fold it just like this, and just to make sure that everything is the way it is supposed to be. So now here is the chantilly lace, okay, that I've been using for this top design. So I'll go ahead and fold it just as you can see me do. The fold is by the side right now. I am going to measure about 6 inches right now. 6 inches, because I am going to hem the tip, and after hemming is going to be remaining about 5.5 to 5 inches. Yeah, 5 to 5.5 inches. So this is how I'm going to measure all through, and I will cut out like this. I will place for the second one. Now that means that the length of this ruffle is going to be about 5 inches to 5.5 inches. Okay, so I've gone ahead to cut 6 of these pieces. That is what I'm going to cut right now. 6 of these pieces, 3 for each sleeve. Okay, so now you know that the length along it is going to be like double of the measurements of where you want this ruffle to be. If you measure these lines that I marked and it gives you like 10 inches, you're going to use like 20 inches. But me, I just used excess length so that anyone remaining, I can trim it out. Okay, just ensure that it is about 2.5 inches of where you want the ruffle to be. So this is what I did, and I have formed the ruffle all through. You can see how I formed the ruffle and stitched it down. Now at this final ruffle, you can see how I ended the tip there. Okay, I ensured that the hemming that I did, I swept it up just as you can see in this video, so that it touches around the cap line. Okay, so I'm now here trimming off the excess. So after placing this ruffle, you see that they are lying on each other like this because the spacing is 4 inches, while the length of the ruffle is about 5.5 inches. So of course it's going to lay on top of the other. The stitch line of the first is supposed to be inside under the second, and the second will be under the final one that is stitched along the cap, if that makes sense. So right now I left the space so that I will be closing up easily like this. I hope you understand. So but before I close up, I am going to close up the ruffles, that's the chantilly. That is what I did, and I'm going to illustrate with this one. I've already finished up with the first one and I'm going to show you. So this is how you're going to fold up the edges of your chantilly like this and stitch. Okay, so when you are done with that, I will show you what next to do. The next is to close up this one. Yes, so I've closed up the chantilly just as I showed you, and also closed up the sleeve proper that the chantilly is being laid on. So after this, you see that there is a little excess of the chantilly there. All we are going to do is to ruffle up the remaining chantilly, under the sleeve there. The excess chantilly there has to be ruffled and completed. So that is what I just did. Now the next thing is to, so right here you can see the shoulder. You can see what I did there. I put elastic, I stitched elastic along this line just to help the sleeve there to sit right. Okay, because this pattern is in a manner that it defeats almost all the contour guidelines. Okay, the elastic there is, this is how you're going to fix the sleeve. The elastic there is just measure the length where you want this elastic to stitch, to be like this. When you measure it, if it's like 10 inches, just make the elastic length 8 inches. Okay, and just stitch it down, stretch as you stitch. That is all. So after that, I'm going to fix the sleeve. You can see that I have fixed it. The truth is this: after fixing the sleeve, when it is worn, you will notice that it will tend to fall off to look like cold shoulder. Now what you're going to do is to put a link here, maybe a bead with fishing line, okay, to link it up from the sleeve to this other part of the shoulder like this. Very important, because this defeats all contour guideline. I contoured the shoulder there. I also applied the elastic, and it still tends to follow, which I believe is on the original design. Yes, it is definitely there. So this is how I conquered that. I put something along that shoulder, very tiny, it can be a tiny bias, and look at it here, and you notice that I use a string of the chantilly to make something tiny and connected it neatly from this sleeve towards the shoulder and neck. So that is what you can see there, and it's tiny and even adds to the beauty of the top. Seriously, this way this sleeve is going to sit perfectly on the shoulder, and the result is beautiful, trust me. But if you don't, you would just have to be pushing your sleeve back in place when it falls off. It can only sit for a while and it will fall off and look like cold shoulder. Then if you don't mind, you can leave it that way, but I always like my work to come out perfectly the way it is supposed to come out. So this is the end of this beautiful ruffle sleeve sewing tutorial, cutting and sewing tutorial, and thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in my next one. Bye, love you all.